And we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Alien Spaceship stream. You could be watching from anywhere around the country or the world, and I really appreciate every single one of you. Coming to you from the Spaceship Studios from a galaxy far, far away. And we have some interesting news regarding the Iran-Israel conflict, where Trump has announced that there will be a ceasefire, and that is some interesting news that recently has come up, and we'll be talking about that as I play the game, and also get into some articles and things like that as well later in the stream. And today, Monica Cementelli was sentenced, and that was a very fiery thing to witness. So now what I'm going to do is it was which all right, thank you. All right, so now what I'm going to be doing is switching over to the game as we usually do, and we'll talk about this. And here we go. I'm going to go here, and as the stream goes on, we will be watching different things, talking about different stuff. And hello, Aaron. It's great to see you, and we will certainly be talking about Monica. It's welcome to the chat. And so with Monica, that was a very fiery, you know, the impact statements. That's the word I was trying to use. The impact statements are very powerful today. I think that it was, a very heartbreaking thing to see what the family had to go through, and then seeing the impact from the sister, especially. She really was fiery about what she did. Absolutely. And so Monica Cementelli was found guilty recently of deleting her husband. Yeah, so I agree, Aaron. I don't know how they got away with that either. So, yeah, so with Monica Cementelli, she was found guilty of conspiring with Baker to murder her husband, Fabio Cementelli. And this guy that she was going with is a prawn star and a child assaulter, say that. So he's really you'd say a first class citizen. And Aaron says, guys, if something happens to me, please just skip my family and have Fabio's family take over. Oh yeah, absolutely. So this morning I woke up and I was watching one of the trials. Then it was like 20 minutes away from Monica, and as I said I would be there, and I was there. And at Monica's trial, it started out with the judge, and nobody could really hear anything. And you had a scene where they flipped over to the other one, the prosecutor, and she did excellent. And then the judge, we can't really hear the judge too much. He's talking, but we can't really hear him. But I remember G couldn't really hear it, but with my headphones, the wireless headphones I have, I was able to hear something. I was able to hear it from the right side. So I was explaining that if they put the headphones on, they could hear it better. So then you had, oh, hello Abby, it's great to see you. Welcome. So you had the impact statements from the different family members, and it was very heartbreaking and very somber. You had, these various different relatives talk about how it affected their life, and everybody agreed that they were deeply affected by Fabio being murdered. And, people were talking about their experience with Fabio and what a great man he was. And hello, Abby, it's great to see you. Shout out to you. And it was extremely heartbreaking for the to watch and seeing like how he mentored like his niece and how he mentored. Although the kids we believe are brainwashed by Monica because they believe she was innocent for some reason, they still also miss their dad, and so everybody that was having the impact statements were saying good points. Another thing was Luigi, his son, came up and he was very poetic and he said some very good examples from fiction and poetry about why he wouldn't like allow the bitterness to take him over because he'll just become the same thing. Like the greatest revenge is to not be like your enemy. So there's basically the logic there. So I think it was very good for these statements to be made. Now the sister, she was cooking a whole Thanksgiving dinner with Monica. She did the Popeyes special on her. She roasted and grilled her and barbecued her and fried her and everything. She, yeah, everything you could possibly think of. She did hibachi on her, and they called her names. A couple of the people, including the sister. As I said, they did very good. They grilled her good, and like what Erin is saying, she's surprised that she was able and allowed to say that. The stuff that she said, they were able to get away with it, but it was interesting to watch. Yeah, calling her a whore. Yeah, and yeah, she did not hold back. And Italians are. This is like a stereotype, but I'm part Italian, by the way, because I'm related to pretty much everything from Europe. But I'm part Italian, and now, so Italians are known to be very zealous, and it comes very handy in that situation. And she was, as I did excellent. And of course, when someone's relative passes away, and is not passed away, but just murdered. And especially in that way. And Fabio wasn't a bad guy. He was a good man with an honest job, and he was giving her all that stuff, and that's how she thanked him. Today I identified as Italian. Awesome. That's fantastic. So, as I said, it was good for me to see it, and for the Italians to show the world how we do not tolerate betrayal of family. Now, like I say, for instance, there's the mafia, which I have no relation or connections to, but basically, the mafia was like these different families that were connected together, like the Godfather and stuff like that. So they were very emphasis on family and brotherhood, and betrayal was dealt with, deletion. So Monica would have been taken out for a meal and wouldn't have returned. But this was just oh, hello, frog, howdy, buddy. This was just one of the best ways they could do it legally. And as I said, she grilled her and talked about, like the evil action that she did by doing that, by cheating and having perverted thoughts about this other guy. Like a husband and wife can do what they want, but she's trying to do it with another guy that's a creeper and a child, say a P word, right? So that was extremely powerful and strong for her to defend all of us, and I felt deep about it because one of the users here that we know from Law and Crime, and we know from in this chat too, one of them knew Fabio, and I was like, that was an honor to have one of them, somebody that knew him in the chat. And she told me that I did a very good job, along with the others, defending his honor, and that meant a lot to me. This was a month ago or so. So it meant a lot to me to see the gratitude that they had for us, because the frustration of people online about this. So I'm glad that we were acknowledged in a positive way. Usually, we are put down by everybody, and by the defense will put us down sometimes, not from Monica's trial, but in general. So it was nice to be acknowledged but also to be thanked and have gratitude that we also are fighting for this cause for his justice. So that was just very powerful and very moving. That's what I would say. That and it was great watching it with Aaron and everybody else. And Monica was being a clown, hiding. She hiding behind her attorney. And the dude, seriously, he looks like a gargoyle thing that's on top of a castle. And Frog, we just began the stream as if they're able to come, the others will come along. Oh, there she is. There's one of them right there, Moki. And basically, as we're talking about a couple of different things, and we're starting off with the judge. I mean, not the judge, but we're starting off with the reacting to the Monica closing. Not the closing, the Monica sentencing. So as I said, it's very powerful for her to do that, very moving. And also, Aaron says there are still some negative Nancy's trying to rush the statements. Now, yeah, negative Nancy's, yeah, people like trolls and haters and stuff were being morons. And as I say, condolences for the entire family, what they went through. And I hate to see a good person like that get treated that way. And she just couldn't have a divorce. It's like people were saying that in like the Catholic faith, people aren't supposed to have divorces. Now, technically, Jesus said in the Bible, right? So this goes for any Christian denomination, regardless of what they think, is that now there are exceptions, in my opinion. It depends on the situations with divorce. All right, so and no judgment for people that do divorce, but Christ in the Bible. So, like, say the Bible-based Protestant people in the Bible, Jesus said that they're not supposed to divorce. Like Moses said to divorce, but he was saying it's best not to divorce. So that's not a Catholic thing. That's something the Bible says. So, and the Catholics are just following what the Bible said. But the King of England wanted. He thought that he could have different. The wife was he was blaming the woman why he couldn't have a son, but it was actually his fault. You see, in the past, they had a lot of backwards thinking than they do now. But nothing wrong with people are divorcing, because people may divorce for different reasons, and that's okay. They're not committing something against God, especially if the circumstances aren't right, where people need to leave for some reason. That's fine. But it's best if people don't. But it's okay if people do under certain circumstances. I mean, like from a Christian point of view, it just depends, like what was going on. But it's up to God to judge people, not me. All right, so it just depends on the circumstances. And it was hilarious, Smokey, when we saw Monica get called a bunch of names. She was called a viewer discretion advised, a whore. She was called a B word, a couple of different things, and she was grilled ruthlessly. I like that. They beat her to a pulp. I like that verbally. And she was yelling at her for going with a creepy, like predator type person, and a dude that was in a prawn star, for a creeper. Oh, hello, Breeze. It's fantastic to see you. Now, I will say that we're talking about the Monica Simontelli trial, and there's news about Iran and Israel having a ceasefire, according to Trump. We'll see how that goes. It's been quite wild with the 12-day war. So, and we have some different interesting things we're talking about. At the moment, we're talking about the Monica trial that we all witnessed today. And Aaron said, "Thank you. My husband kept interrupting, and I ran out of the room, and he didn't appreciate how important today was for us." Oh, I know. I know what you mean when people don't understand the importance of the situation when you're watching a trial and it's very important, and then people try to ask you to do things. I get it. And Also, Abby says, I absolutely despise God at the moment for all he's given me. And Bree said, good to see you, hun. Okay, Abby, I hope everything in the future makes sense, which I believe it will. And you just do you and go through the emotions that you're going through. That just do what you feel is best. I hope everything gets better for you, because I know you're going through a lot right now. But just know that we are here for you, and thank you for sharing with us your thoughts about that. I've also been through some things where I wasn't a happy camper myself. Not that been through what you've been through, but yeah, I know it can be frustrating. Life is very frustrating. Of course, we all have different ways of going through that. So as I said, we're here for you, and you are a great, amazing person, and anybody that mistreated you is a complete garbage from Sheen. All right. So shout out to you, Abby. And oh, hello, Rebecca. I hope that you are doing well, Rebecca. Thank you for coming by. I hope you and Leon are doing well. And Abby says, I'm full of pain and rage, but thank you. I love you guys. I just heard God and thought of that. Right? Even, Jesus was upset with God when he was crucified. And I've been upset before. I understand. But, you know, it's normal to feel that way, Abby. The normal emotions. Thank you, Abby. I appreciate that. Thank you. All right. So, yeah, shout out to Abby. And then I've had a variation of times I've yelled at God. We eventually worked through it, but I hear your pain. Yeah. And how can those daughters still not acknowledge there's a mom responsibility floors me? Yeah, so talking about the mom, it was okay. The I This is what I think. Now, if somebody it's interesting and it would be interesting to see a psychological analysis about these things, but it seems that the daughters have a very strong feelings towards their mother, and I think it's extremely traumatic for these young people to go through these things. Like, so you say your mom murders the father or stepfather, which is not stepfather, but you get what I mean. And oh, hello, Virginia Possum. Welcome to the stream. Shout out to the possums. This coming to you from the Possum Swamp down in Louisiana. And what we're talking about is a trial that we were all watching earlier, and also with the Iran conflict, they're talking about a ceasefire, according to the president, and that war has been going on for 12 days, and hopefully it remains that way. So would be an incredible feat if they're able to keep a ceasefire. So we're talking about that, and a variety of different things as well. But at the moment, we're focusing on Monica, because this group is a group of people I watched trials with at Law and Crime, and Monica Cimatelli was found guilty of earlier this year of conspiring with a child P word of abuser Prawn Star that she cheated with her very noble husband that was a popular hairstylist that was well off, how she had him murdered to go with this creepy cockroach piece of garbage. So then today she was sentenced, and her family get impact statements, and the sister of Fabio grilled her and roasted her and was very loud, very zealous, and saved the day. It was an amazing thing to watch, and with the chat. So she was called many bad words that she deserved, and she was hiding behind her gargoyle attorney, And he was trying to say that I didn't know we're doing closing arguments again. My client's innocent, blah, 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 you know. So that was incredible to watch the human spirit triumph those things, you know, the adversity. So the main issue at hand is her daughters. So her daughters support her and believe that she was innocent and that they were talking about things I will say are irrelevant, and I'll be clear why I'm saying it's irrelevant. They're talking about how she took them to school, taught her how to be a woman, and GSI was not a happy camper to hear that. It's like, wow, she thinks that it was good for her to be a, you know, an inspiration for all women, for herself to be a mentor. Yes, Virginia. It has been quite overwhelming indeed. Yes. So that was happening, and we're quite appalled that they believe their mother is innocent. At the same time, I could see why maybe are they in denial? Is it Stockholm syndrome to some extent? Were they brainwashed? And for they believe their mother is innocent, as I said, it could be a very traumatic thing for, you know, kids to go through that. And as I said, they believe that she was innocent, and they are on their mother's side. I will even add that I think it's quite atrocious if even hypothetically, if she was innocent, hypothetically, she committed adultery with her, you know, against her husband with a creepy cockroach. That's bad enough. All right. And the guy was providing, he was doing what a man is supposed to do. And it was a piece of garbage for what Monica did. And she was hiding, and she was getting emotional. And now Kathy Roos, the director of Law and Crime, was saying about how Monica was fuming. You know, so that's the truth about what Monica was feeling. I'll go to y'all's chat messages. Levine hated the B2, though. Yeah, you see, Levine hated her. It was like, he looks so miserable, and he has a frown on his face. He looks like this. He looks like Ebenezer Scrooge. Like, he looks like a horrible, like, stereotype of something like that. He looks like a depressed, decrepit piece of work. He really does. And yeah, didn't look like a happy camper at all. Abby said Monica has the rest of her life to use regular toothpaste instead of Baker paste. It's a somber day for her. Oh, Abby, she is devastated beyond comprehension that she cannot get some sleazy toothpaste from the Wizard Baker. She can't get some enchanting toothpaste. She has to use regular toothpaste. And she's going to have a bunch of wives instead of her beloved Baker. Thanks, Abby. Thank you. And Aaron said, my favorite was Monica's sister, and said something about waiting for the truth to come out. What? Yeah, I know. And basically, in my opinion, more experiment. And my opinion about that, in Stockholm is hard as hell. Yeah, definitely. And basically, with the truth, I think what she was referring to is Monica and all the lies and all the stuff that she did. That is a truth that came out. And other people may not accept the truth, but eventually, like, the truth will set you free, and that's something to have to accept. So I think it has to do with Monica being exposed and being locked up. And Moki says, I like how Monica's sister, Barbara, did not speak on her behalf. You could tell she was very angry at her when she was on the stand. Oh, she was furious. She was going to square up. She was hollering. There was a point where she was just raging. It was just rage. Complete rage. She would have, like, deleted her. Like, if she got her hands on her, she would have deleted Monica. And yeah, I like how the judge spoke up towards the end, like in a better, like we were able to hear him better. I like the judge in this case. I liked him. I don't like their microphones because they weren't able to hold out with the microphones. But it was really good to see, at least, that the sentencing was done and she's locked up and she's going to be in there the rest of her life. I loved seeing when Monica was originally found guilty and she was like scared. She's acting like a buffoon. Abby says, "I will never understand taking your child's other parent, though. How selfish do you have to be?" Yeah, I think that taking out the other parent is completely, completely evil. The parent of your child. I mean, no matter how bad or good the person is, that's still like a special thing. And I really despise how they were able to, how she did that, how she was able to do that, and they, the group, which is Baker and Austin, although Austin, was not the main mastermind, but he still was part of it, and so Baker and them, yeah, completely heartless, no empathy or compassion. That's how sick and twisted Monica is, and she was so over delusional that she really believed that she could get away with it without consequence. And you see, another thing they mentioned was the mourning process that Monica went through, where she built a shrine to Fabio, very cliche, which is like, what on earth is that? And she wore all black with a veil on her face. And you see, that is symbolic about her black soul, which I'm not talking about skin color, but I'm talking about like a dark evil vibe she gives off, that she was wearing it on display. When you have her with the, although that's something people wear at funerals, it's just, I believe it's symbolic about her void that she is. And I'm not, and there's people that may feel voidish and feel lost, but I'm talking about evil. Like, that's what Monica was. It's pure evil. Like, she probably would have done it again and again. Like, she's probably like a serial deleter type person. That's what I'd say she is with absolute certainty. Where she wanted the money and the insurance policy. She didn't care about anything else but herself and what she could get out of it. And for somehow, some way, misleading her daughters to believing that she was the one in the right and wasn't doing anything wrong. Yeah, so I think that the sentencing was excellent. And I disagree with the daughters, how they did it, because I don't believe that Monica was innocent at all. But I think it was very great to see the impact statements. And I'm glad that we watched it together earlier. All right. So, and I think it's good that people can see that. And people can see, like, what the consequences for those actions are. Because people don't know, like when they do things like that, they're not consciously aware of what they're doing because they're so far out, in their delusion. Because the Bible says that God will give people over to their delusions, to their whatever their heart desires. So whatever Monica's heart desired, she was given. And Aaron says, and now there's a different trial about a guy in Florida, shocker, whose BF is missing. Ah, yeah. Yeah, I saw that earlier, and Kathy Rusin brought the article to our attention about what was going on with that. And so, yeah, the Florida guy, he was trying to go and get the, probably delete his boyfriend, and now the guy's missing. So, yeah, another type of trial like Monica, definitely. Now, this is the news headline about it. Oh, hello, True Crime. It's great to see you. Welcome. The wife of celebrity hairstylist Fabio Cementelli has been sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole in her husband's murder. Monica Cementelli was sentenced on Monday more than 2 months after she was convicted of murder and conspiracy to commit murder in connection with the 2017 slaying of Woodland Hills. And also further reading that, let's see. Okay, continuing. Monica Cementelli was sentenced Monday more than 2 months after she was convicted of murder, of conspiring to commit murder in connection with the 2017 slaying of Woodland Hills. And Fabio and Monica Cementelli, okay, together with her boyfriend Robert Baker. She arranged for her husband's fatal stabbing by Baker and Baker's accomplice, Christopher Austin, who is alleged Monica Cementelli's door left a door unlocked so they could attack Fabio Cementelli. Baker was also sentenced to life without possibility of parole, while Austin received a 16-year sentence for second-degree murder. Monica Cementelli wanted to avoid the costly divorce and instead received a payout from her husband's life insurance policy, the Los Angeles County District Attorney Office said when announcing the conviction. Abby says, I cannot stand when victims are still missing but considered gone. If they're gone, they deserve to be laid to rest. Amen. I agree. Monica Cementelli betrayed the person who loved and trusted her most, District Attorney Nathan Honchman said in release announcing the sentence. Her calculated scheme to profit from her husband's deletion cost a kind and talented man in his life and devastated a family. Today's sentence ensures that she will spend the rest of her life behind bars, where she can no longer deceive or destroy lives. Justice caught up with her. Hodgman also noted the complex years along the investigation and prosecution when thinking of law enforcement and prosecutors. Quote, thanks for the relentless work of our prosecutors, particularly Deputy District Attorney Beth Silverman, Heather Stiegel, and law enforcement partners. The truth emerged and justice was served for Fabio and all who loved him, he said. Monica did look like Dookie. That is true. Moki. Yeah, it's an entire level of disrespect that the family and friends do. Yeah, definitely. It just shows you how twisted people are. The absolute twisted nature of these people that go and delete the others, and cause so much destruction to people. They'll discard their victims like a bad habit. Like, they'll go and throw them away like a piece of trash. It's absolutely disgraceful what these people will do. Absolutely disgraceful. I just can't stand when these evil people do that, and then when they get caught, they're speechless. They don't really understand what's going on. Like, they're like, "Oh, I didn't do this," or they're trying to look for the bodies, and they're so calm with no emotion to them. It's just people like that need to be locked away forever and not be let out. So, and I like how they say that she was sixth crazed and demonic, and she certainly was. And that's what's, very evil, twisted. People that even are not religious can agree that she was just a complete psycho. A complete psycho. And as I said, we will have more this other trial with the boyfriend murder trial. It is absolutely, interesting to see how that will go, and that's another sad case that we're speaking about. Monica Cementelli was sentenced to life in prison without possibility of parole for brutal murder of her husband, who was found stabbed to deletion at the couple's home in 2017. Cementelli was found guilty of murder and conspiracy and murder for hire, and celebrity hairstylist Fabio Cementelli. Jurors found Monica plotted with her lover, Robert Baker, to continue their affair and cash in Fabio's $1.6 million life insurance policy. And we're looking into like the impact statements. It was 34 degrees. Oh, wow. That's crazy. That's hard to imagine. All right, so looking towards Monica's future, Fabio's youngest sister told the judge that she had searched online for what happens in a female prison. I read, quote, I read, inmates make sure newcomers get a brutal welcome. Marla Cementelli told the court, disgusting food and poor hygiene, and I can't deny, I like the sounds of that. With every holiday, I will grow more at peace knowing Monica is eating food that even rats don't want to eat. 8 members of Fabio's family spoke at Monica's sentencing, not mimicking words, as they described Fabio's murder as premeditated execution carried out by cowards. And that's what these people are, bullies and people that are murderers like this. They're a bunch of cowards. A complete garbage. And it is driven by a woman with no soul. As I said, the person has no soul, no conscience, and thought she could get away with anything. Stephanie Avalo, Fabio's niece-in-law, referred to the defendant as a soul devoid of a humanity. The reminder, and reminded the judge Cohen that prosecutors said Monica planned the murder so that her youngest daughter would find her husband's body. Only a devil could carry out something to calculate so cruel and so utterly heartless against her own child. Avla said, let her be forgotten as a clump of nothingness that she is. Fabio's sister, Loretta Picilio, referred to Monica as a six-crazed, demonic, you had it all, Monica, and you threw it away. You burnt it to the ground. Picilio said, quote, for what? Lust? For greed? For attention? There is a darkness living inside of you that no mortal can understand. Your evil treason, you're rotten through and through. Moki said FKR saying that lady dancing in front of Peg's house is not Reed supporter, but AFKR trying to frame them. You can't make this up. She's already been identified. And indeed, FKR. Sorry, rant over. Okay, Moki, thank you for that rant. We appreciate the additional information. Monica's two daughters, whom she shared with Fabio, both spoke about their love for both of their parents. Quote, "We're trying our best to move forward." Jessica Sementelli said, "We only had 5 months to grieve our father before we lost our mother, too. I truly thought that this trial would bring some kind of closure, that we'd be able to grieve together, the three of us, and begin healing. But instead, my sister and I will be doing what we've done the last 8 years. We're going to pick each other up, and we're going to carry on, and we're going to stay strong." And they seem to be thinking that the mother was innocent. Christopher Austin, who pled guilty to the stabbing of Fabio with Baker, was sentenced to 16 years to life in prison when he was sentenced in May. Baker was sentenced to life in prison without possibility of parole after pleading no contest to the murder charges. All right. So that is a breakdown about the Monica Sementelli sentencing for today. So that is what happened. Yeah, and I think it is absolutely ridiculous that for the trolls in the chat that were trying to invoke, that they thought, trolling the chat and trying to say that they were supporting what happened and stuff. It's just absolutely cringe. So there was some goofs in there that were being dumb, and also there are people that were insulting the people that were trying to do their impact statement in the chat. But we got a lot of stupid people out there that are not fully mature enough to handle anything. So that is why it was good that we, the chat, were able to handle it and did a good job with it. And then there's this other trial that we're looking at. Kathy Rusin gave the information about today. Let's see. So I'm going to read about this. Right, it's going to happen eventually. Here we go. Going to see about importing this to the other thing. I don't quite know how to do that. Okay. I think I could do it like this. Alright, I'm going to X this window out right there. And then I'm going to airdrop. Oh, hello, Mike. Good to see you, buddy. A shout out to Mike Morrow. Welcome to the chat. We're talking about a couple of different things, including Monica Sementelli. And right now, I'm going to talk about another. Oh, and also, what I do, Mike, is I make people a mod that I knew on YouTube from the YouTube chats. So I'm going to make you a mod as I do with everybody that I knew on YouTube that came here. All right. So Thank you for you like the game. Thank you. So we have in the game that we play in the beginning. I play the game in the beginning, and I talk about Trials at the same time. But we have the zombie pirates invading the shores, and we are going to get our little handy dandy dude right here, and we're going to go and drop the bombs on them. All right, there we go. And this game is called Pirates of The Legend of Pirates Online. It's based off of Pirates of the Caribbean movie from Captain Jack Sparrow. You know, that kind of stuff. Okay, that didn't work, so we're going to have to do it this other way. I'm going to read about what Kathy Rusin sent me earlier. Well, sent the chat earlier about this. All right. Okay. So as I said, Monica's the impact statements were very moving, and I really enjoyed the impact statements that were made. You know, for the families that lost their loved one, I think that I deeply appreciate what they were saying, although I disagree with the daughters about their view on it. Okay. Christopher Davis. Christopher Davis. All right, we're getting there. Yeah, so as I said, I think that God Just Run just popped to say hi. Tell Rebecca we miss her. I'll tell her that we miss her. All right. So with Monica Cementelli, it was very good to see the impact statements done by those that were watching it. You know, because we all were supporting Fabio being given justice. We all supported that, and we love to see the sister roast Monica. It was a very moving thing to see. And this other trial, the boyfriend was missing. So this is another murder type trial, and it's very unfortunate and very evil when somebody is found missing. Is not found missing, but someone is missing because you don't know what happened to them, and I think it's wrong to the families, you know, and to the victims. It's really sick when people do stuff like that because people want to at least know where their loved ones are. Okay, Mike, thank you for dropping by and telling us hello. I appreciate you coming to the stream, and I kind of play the game in the beginning while I talk about trials and then go into other things too while I kind of, as time goes on. Yeah. So I'm going to kind of read about this new trial that is going on. The defendant's name is, let's see, Christopher Davis. All right. All right, here we go. All right, here we go. Trial begins for Cape Coral man accused of deleting missing boyfriend. The trial of Christopher Davis, accused of deleting his boyfriend Barry Schambach and disposing of his body, began on Monday at the Lee County Courthouse. A jury was seated at the opening statements were delivered. Prosecutors looked at the assertive. A jury was seated and opening statement were delivered, and prosecutors took an assertive approach, slamming the paperwork on witness and stand as they laid out for their case, which hinges on circumstantial evidence since Schambach's body was never found. The highlighted suspicious purchase Davis made with the days of Schambloch disappearance in 2023 include a pickaxe, shovel, fireproof safe, and heavy-duty locks. Prosecutors also pointed out to what the neighbors say they heard the night of Schambloch was last seen. The defense countered by raising doubts about Schambloch's personal life, citing that the health concerns and claims that he used multiple dating apps while he was in a relationship with Davis. The trial's first witness was Miguel Blanco. Schambloch's best friend. Jurors reviewed photos, surveillance footage on CDs, and listened to the last voicemail Schambloch left for Blanco before vanishing. Moki said the stabbing trial has been more interesting than I thought it would be. Ah, okay. Yes, absolutely. Despite the lack of body, prosecutors say that they are confident that the evidence will prove Davis deleted Schambloch and covered it up. The trial is expected to last through the week. Schambloch's family still clinging to hope that he may be found. It was present for the first day of proceedings. His sister told Wink News that she plans to attend each day of the trial. Wink News reporter Haley Zerakun will be at the Lee County Courthouse tonight to update you on the latest. All right, so that is one of the new trials that we're watching. So we're going to have to wait and see how all that goes with those trials. You got the injured and the different people. Let's see. And also, we have new developments with Israel and Iran. Recently, the United States attacked Israel. The United States attacked Iran, not Israel. And we have a new thing going on where there's a ceasefire, and they're going to call it the 12-Day War. And we're going to get into updates about how that's going on, because I know a lot of people are talking about that and are curious about that situation. So I'd be glad to explain the situation with that. Alright, looks like we have to defeat this invasion. Oh, we got the tree, the tree bro right here. Okay, let's do this. Okay, high ammunition. So, I think that, with Iran, it would be good to have more, it could be resolved peacefully. Oh, that is the boss. That's the guy who's in charge of he's the guy that destroyed that zombie island. And it looks like he's about to go down. Facts. Alright, he got defeated. We defeated the zombie pirate group. We all got knocked out, and I kept throwing fireball grenades at him, and we got him good. Alright. So that's like the finale of the game. Right there. And we won victory against Jolly Roger. Wasn't that awesome? see. All right, gonna clap in the game because there's victory. Gonna dance a jig. So I did that, and these are a bunch of other players, by the way. All right, so Tortuga has been saved from the zombie pirate. So the zombie pirate is the one that will go to that haunted island, Raven's Cove. That was the guy that destroyed that place. And that guy's responsible for all the zombies and the different bad things we see in the game. It's from him. All right. Well, that was a very good gaming session. And talking about Trials at the same time. What a stream. All right. All right. Now what we're going to do is get into some more updates about the Iran-Israel situation. All right. All opinions are allowed. Whatever people opinions have is fine. It'll be an interesting discussion. Or just report the news, and it is what it is. So, okay. So let's go here. We got chat, and we're going to go get the other window. Shout out to the Spaceship Cats. Okay, and let's see live updates on Iran. All right, Trump says that Israel and Iran agreed to complete and total ceasefire. Oh, okay. So we have right here 6 minutes ago. All right, it'll buffer, but it'll come back. It'll come back. It should. It should be coming in. Yeah, it was just there are some ads in this website that caused it to go out for a moment. All right. So, Iranian foreign minister says there is currently no agreement on a ceasefire with Israel. Iran's foreign minister Abbas Araghchi said there was currently no ceasefire agreement with Israel, but said Iran would halt its military response if Israel stopped its strike on Iran by 4 a.m. local time there. As Iran repeatedly made clear, Israel launched war on Iran, not the other way around, Araghchi said in a post on X. As of now, there is no agreement on ceasefire or cessation of military operations. Araghchi added that if Israel stops the illegal aggression, they claim, against Iran no later than 4 a.m. Tehran time, we have no intention of continue our response afterwards. It is coming up to 4:30 a.m. local time in Tehran. Hello, Miranda. Great to see you, buddy. Miranda says, fake news, LMAO, talking about them saying there may not be a ceasefire deal. Right. Yeah, the news is, cringe, cringe news. But they did agree, because Trump was saying that there was a ceasefire agreement, and, there had to be some type of communication between the two parties to stop. And Miranda, very good evening to you. I hope that you're doing well. And now we are resuming the updates about what is going on with this situation. So, some context. A senior White House official previously told CNN that Israel agreed to a ceasefire. Yo-ho, MI8, yo mates, we got scurvy. Yes! Scared! We're going to need some rum and some lime to cure that scurvy. Because on the seas, they would use rum and lime. That's why they called my kinsmen limeys, because they used lime to fight against scurvy. So it looks like the Timu scurvy, the Timu lime has run out. So we have to go set sail to Sheen to get some Sheen lime to fight the scurvy that we have. And in the pirate game, Miranda, I successfully defeated, with along other pirates, the evil pirate Jolly Roger. So that is some. It was really great gaming today while we did the stream about other things too. Oh, hello, Danielle. It is great to see you. And we were talking about Monica's sentencing and our reaction to it, and playing the game, and talking about some other trials, and now with the Israel-Iran news that we've been doing daily. Not the Sheen and Timu scurvy. I know. And Miranda says, breaking news. Hello, alien. Ariana Grande is currently being dragged for her political statements. Why did she have to go public with her poor lady? She should have shut her big mouth. Miranda, I agree. I agree. She should have kept her ignoramus Timu mouth shut, because all that came out was Sheen. A bunch of Sheen nonsense. Yeah. And nothing wrong with people asking questions or debating, or maybe people want to see a different point of view. That's okay. We all have different opinions on stuff, but I mean, this is ridiculous what Ariana, she's just trying to do political clout. She's just trying to, beef up everything to make herself look important and try to make some sort of commentary about things she doesn't even know what she's talking about. Yeah, so it's good that people are dragging her through the mud on her political comments. A senior White House official previously told CNN that Israel agreed to a ceasefire deal on the conditions that Iran stop attacks in their country. Iran agreed to those terms, the source said. So, as I said, CNN is basically saying that, she nuclear power. She nuclear powers. Hilarious. Hilarious. That is so funny. That is so true. Now, okay, so to be clear, the Iranian spokesperson, the Iranian foreign minister is saying BS, because CNN is also saying that the White House said that Israel agreed to a ceasefire deal with the conditions that Iran stop its attacks on their country. So a ceasefire was reached. How great is that? If Trump is good or bad, people can have their opinions about him. But if they're able to achieve a ceasefire, that is a great feat. Okay? That is something we cannot deny. And Danielle says, I came to say hello. I came to say hello. I'm melting at 93 degrees here, and with humidity and it's 113, no air conditioning, I'm going to shower. Oh, you take a shower, Danielle. The heat is disgusting. Okay, Moki. I will look at the link. I'll look at it later. And Moki, it was great talking to you. Have a very good evening. And it was great watching the trial with you today and doing the stream with you. Thank you so much. Have a good evening with you and your family. All right. Okay, I saved the link. All right, and Danielle said, Miranda said, oh gosh, so sorry about that. Heat's just getting hotter. I hope that you have a nice cool shower. Oh, that's very sweet of you to say. Yeah, we'll see Moki soon. All right, this is from a minute ago. And remember, beware of fake news. Beware of fake news. So just beware of that, but we're going to see what this is going to say. So a minute ago, Iran FM says military operations against Israel continued until the very last minute. and hint hostilities have ended. Oh, isn't that fantastic? Oh, look at that, Miranda. Look at that. The hostilities have ended. Amen. Hallelujah. And, all right, Danielle. Iran's foreign minister, Abbas Araghchi, thanked Iran's armed forces and said military operations against Israel continued until the very last minute, hinting that hostilities may have ended. The military operations of our powerful armed forces to punish Israel for its aggression continued until the very last minute. You see how they have to act all big and tough and important? You know, but as I said, they felt that Iran was a threat to them, but they can word it how they want to. Very last minute, 4 a.m. Amen. Praise the Lord. Hallelujah. Amen. Earlier, Araghchi had said Iran would halt its military response if Israel stopped its strikes by 4 a.m. And together with all Iranians, thank our brave armed forces who remain ready to defend their dear country until their last drop of blood. And the German word for blood is Blut, by the way. I like some German words because like say ja or ja, like ga is means yes. So another thing I might integrate into different chat rooms is some German words because the English words seem too long, and boy does that make me. People could say all kinds of conspiracy theories about that, but as I said, it's just to make the chat a bit easier. So the German word is Blut. So until their last drop of Blut, and who responded to any attack by the enemy until the last minute. So they have ended hostilities, and right now it's basically a ceasefire. Amen. That is so great to see. You know, so you see how both countries were able to remain sovereign. I think it's kind of funny to think about how Trump brought his aircraft fighter, and they used these fueling stations, and it flew itself all the way to Iran to drop some on non-civilian targets. No civilians were harmed, and they left. And guess what? Iran warned our country and the president that they were going to attack some bases. And they did like a Timu attack. I'd say it was a Sheen attack. Because they were just dropping random like firecrackers in different areas. Because I was watching it from a reel that was shown, and it was just dropping in random spots. So they warned us that they were going to do it. They didn't attack us directly, just military bases. So, as I said, I think it was good what he did. And, you know, because people be tripping on the man. And you see, Miranda, on Twitter, many influencers and on YouTube, as we are streaming, are ranting about TotalWish.com attack. Right. So basically we did, you know, our prayers and collective reasoning worked. So many people are ranting about why Trump was doing the wrong thing. Knock on wood, of course. Hopefully it stays this way, but there's a ceasefire. Thank you, Miranda, for being clear, because I was having a Timu moment. And the American foreign bases were in Qatar. So Iran attacked bases in Qatar, it's really pronounced. They attacked foreign bases in Qatar. And not anywhere on our soil. It was just foreign bases that were in Qatar. And it looked like a bunch of random firecrackers in random directions just being fired at different spots. Like there's like a piece of land and they just fire at it. So thank you, Miranda, for being clear. We needed that to, you know, be clear on that. Thanks. Oh, you had to research it. Okay, because I learned from earlier it was Qatar, but I failed to say it. I failed to say it. Miranda, I was watching Transformers. I'm sure you did too. And they said Qatar. but the pronunciation is Qatar. You know, we all were pronouncing it wrong, but yeah, it's Qatar. There's certain words we use on a regular basis we all pronounce wrong. I remember there's like a Chills, this YouTuber that reacts to scary videos. He was saying a word and people were making fun of him, but he said it's the right pronunciation. So it's like, yeah, certain words are we all pronounce wrong. Miranda says, I read people say it both ways. Huh, crazy. I think it's probably Qatar, but I say Qatar. I like Qatar better. I like Qatar better. And Miranda says it's got to be because in our language that's how it's said. Oh, okay. Yeah. We could call it Qatar. I prefer Qatar anyway. And it's like the people just must have invented, like, you know what, it's called Qatar. It's like cut her. Is that what we're going at here? Cut her? But no, it's Qatar. That's what we say. All right. Fared Zakaria reacts to Trump's claim of ceasefire between Israel and Iran. But as I said, the ceasefire has been confirmed. But when Trump said the ceasefire happened, there's a lot of ranting and raving that it was, nonsense, but it was actually true. Okay, CNN's Fared Zakaria reacts to President Trump's announcing a ceasefire, which he says he hopes to become permanent. Neither Iran nor Israel have... Like how people say Iran or Iran. I always said Iran. Oh, hello, Beans. It's great to see you. So... here is our daily update about the situation in the Middle East. So first I'll say that earlier we were talking about Monica Cementelli, who was sentenced for having her husband murdered. There is very noble, bold impact statements. And we appreciate, the chat. We had a good conversation because another group that I have, we were watching that earlier. So, right. I have said Iran also. I have said that too. Iran. You mean Iran. Iran. I have said Iran and Iran interchangeably. Like Iran. It's like you have all these other countries and we were saying Iran. Yeah, so they must have ran. It's like, what did you do when they were chasing? He said, I ran. Scared. All right, so with this update, there's a ceasefire between Iran or Iran, however people want to say it, and Israel. And the hostilities have ended. So first of all, the foreign minister was saying about how that there was no ceasefire. They just wanted Israel to stop firing at 4 p.m. and they did, or 4 a.m. I could be getting it mixed up. It was 4 a.m. over there, and it's all stopped. And Trump made a post on True Social about it a few hours, 2 hours ago, and now it's been confirmed that it was telling the truth. It's like if he says something, there's probably truth to it. So the newest updates from 10 minutes ago, as we said, was Iran's foreign minister Abbas Araghchi thanked the Iran's arms forces and said military operations against Israel. So for instance, I remember when I was little, the way Israel's pronounced is Israel. But we say Israel, like Israel. And against Israel continued until the very last minute, hinting that hostilities may have ended. Quote, the military operations of our powerful armed forces to punish Israel for its aggression, that this is what the Iranians are saying, but, continued until the very last minute at 4 a.m. So they did it. They ended the hostilities. Earlier, Agrachi had said Iran would halt its military response if Israel stopped its strike on Iran by 4 a.m. local time, the Tehran, which is 30 minutes ahead of Israel. Arachi's latest post came just after 4 a.m. on Israel. Together with Iran, all Iranians thank our brave armed forces who remain ready to defend our dear country until the last drop of blood, and who responded any attack on the enemy to the very last minute. All right, 27 minutes ago. Here's how the day went with the White House amid news of Iran strikes on U.S. bases and ceasefire. U.S. President Donald Trump made a series of phone calls to members of Congress and others about how the freshly brokered ceasefire agreement between Israel and Iran came together. The White House was largely silent throughout the day on Monday evening. Trump is the man. That is true, Beans. Leaving virtually all communication to the president's social media account, but officials began offering more details even as they kept careful watch as the first proposed ceasefire deadline approached the Middle East. And it was good what Trump was doing. And I was talking to my friend Peach earlier, and we were talking about it, and she said earlier than the news was saying, because she has military connections, was that, everybody's going to owe Trump an apology for being against him. And all these different influencers and stuff were saying, why should we attack Iran? But you see, by him doing that, he showed the country and Israel that they have strength. And they know that it's better to have a ceasefire. And it's good that it happened that way. See, he prevented a greater conflict from happening. Now, hopefully, Iran, and Iran, all of them together, can come to the table and let's have a peaceful discussion about reasoning this out. He knows what he's doing. As I said, I trusted him. I had faith in him. Bean said every time you say Iran, I start seeing Iran so far away. Yeah, Iran so far away. Iran is far away. And Iran so far away. Yeah, I get it. Because it's like, yeah, Iran is so far away. But, that's kind of what it's saying said. And a smaller version is saying Iran so far away. That's funny, Beans. These words are hilarious. The White House was largely silent throughout the day, Monday evening, leaving virtually all communication to the president's social media account. But officials began offering more details, even as they kept careful watch as the first proposed ceasefire deadline approached the Middle East. This ceasefire was only made possible because the President Trump's strong leadership and perseverance for peace, a senior White House official said, offering a window into a long series of calls and meetings the president and vice president and others conducted. Trump is scheduled to travel the NATO summit on Tuesday. And then it is good that we have this resolution. So this is other news from earlier. So this is old news. I'm about to tell. Israel today launched multiple attacks into different areas of Iran capital Tehran. Iran's state alleged Tasnim news agency reported earlier Tuesday local time. In a photo of geolocated CNN, a large plume of dark smoke was seen rising from Tehran. All right, and an hour ago, which led up to the original ceasefire that we have, is Israel agreed to ceasefire on the condition that Iran stopped its strikes, White House officials say. Israel agreed to the ceasefire deal on the condition that Iran, and Iran, and Iran, all of them, stop its attacks on their country. Senior White House officials told CNN that Iran agreed to those terms. And sources said. During the negotiations, U.S. President Donald Trump communicated directly with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, Vice President J.D. Vance, Secretary of State and National Security Advisor Marco Rubio, and Special Envoy Steve Witkoff negotiated the terms through direct and indirect channels with the Iranians. You see, look at that administration. Look how that administration is. Wow. You got a dude before that had ice cream. Yeah, Brandon with his ice cream. And you have the Cackling Witch. I mean, imagine what we'd be in if Cackling Witch got in. I just keep thinking it's funny about Trump sent Iran a present. And then he gave them an offer they can't refuse. I like how he takes action. You know, he flew the plane all the way over to the Middle East. He flew it all the way over there. And, you know, he could have prevented another type of conflict. And I like how he didn't attack civilians. He was surgical. Like with Drew Brees of the Saints. How he was surgical with the football. Trump was surgical with this. The White House maintains that the deal was only possible due to the U.S. strikes on three of Iran's nuclear facilities on Saturday. Trump also spoke directly, during which he thanked him for his. Trump spoke directly with Emir of Qatar, or we like to say Qatar, Tamim bin Hamad bin Khalifa Al Thanal. Well, that's quite a name. During which he thanked him for his help in mediating ceasefire agreement, the official said. Oh, hello, the therapist. It's great to see you. So, we're talking about some news with Iran and the ceasefire that happened. And also, what we were doing was, before that, we were talking about the trials with the Monica Simontelli reaction, like my reaction to it. Also, we were talking about the boyfriend murder trial, and I didn't talk about the Preppy trial, but that one was real goofy. So the Preppy trial, they had these punks on the stand, and they're a bunch of bad characters, in my opinion. So that is something that we were discussing, and now we're talking about the news with Iran and and, you know, the ceasefire. All right, therapist, thank you. The White House maintains that the deal was only possible through the U.S. strikes Or rather, okay. Within the last half hour, Trump has returned to the West Wing where the Marine is standing watch. He had originally returned to the residence shortly after 6 p.m. An official said he's making calls. He is not expected to make any more public appearances. Bean says, fun fact, alien, the same bombers they took care of business in Iran are the ones doing flyovers at Kansas City Chiefs games. Oh, really, Beans? That's a fun fact. I didn't know that. That is a fun fact. That is so cool. I mean, that must be very inspiring to see that you have this over in the them doing this great deed at the same time doing flyovers of the Kansas City Chiefs. If anything, it's like a football game in a way that our team was the fighter jets and they won the game and came back home. And I like to learn, and many other YouTubers, I've liked to learn about the station, about how this works. That you can fly an aircraft all the way over to the Middle East to do this and come back home. And they have fueling stations strategically planted so they can go and refuel in midair. That's so cool. Iran agreed to a U.S. proposed ceasefire after talks mediated by Qatar, or Qatar as we say, diplomat says. That is very cool, Beans. That is awesome. It was a squadron from the Missouri Whitman Air Force Base. Yeah, that's very cool. All right. Iran, Iran, and Iran agreed to a U.S. proposed ceasefire with Israel following talks mediated by Qatari government. A diplomat briefed on the talks told CNN. U.S. President Donald Trump asked the Emir of Qatar to broker the ceasefire agreement with Iran, Iran. The diplomat said the following: Iran retaliatory attacks against the U.S. base in Qatar. The Qatari Prime Minister Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdul Rahman bin Jassim Al Thani secured Iran's agreement on Monday, the official said, which Trump then announced the world on social media. Neither Israeli nor Iranian governments have yet confirmed their agreement to the ceasefire, but it's been agreed. Recently, it's been agreed. An hour ago, it says that why Iran possibly warned Qatar about its attack ahead of time. CNN's Clarisia Ward is in Tel Aviv as Iran launched strikes toward U.S. military base in neighboring Qatar, but according to one source, the Iranians warned that the Qataris that the strikes were coming. In short, the U.S. likely knew ahead of time. Ward breaks down the Tehran issued warnings and what they did. Thank you, Mary Toodles, for your donation. I appreciate you. Thanks for the blowing kiss. All right. And Netanyahu meeting with Israeli's narrow security cabinet, source says. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is meeting with his narrow security cabinet, a source familiar with the matter said. The meeting includes Minister of Strategic Affairs Ron Demer, Foreign Minister Gideon Sahar, no Sar. It's really just SA and another AR. Defense Minister Israel Katz, Shah's Party Chair Ari Duri, National Security Minister Itamar Ben Giver, Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich. The meeting comes after Netanyahu met with his broader security cabinet. All right, so that was an hour ago. About 200. Yeah, Mary is the OG, definitely. Shout out to Mary. About 250 U.S. citizens and family members have departed Israel on U.S. facilitated fights. Approximately 250 U.S. citizens, permanent resident, and their immediate. Mary said, "Just saying hi. I don't like talking about politics." Yeah, and we're not really talking about politics so much. We're just like talking about the ceasefire. Scared. Approximately 250 U.S. citizens, permanent residents, and their immediate family members have departed Israel and on U.S. facilitated flights. A State Department official said Monday there have been 7 flights total since Saturday. The official said those flights have arrived in Greece, Italy, and Cyprus. Quote, "We are grateful to our partners in these countries that receiving these flights," the official said. All right. And then you have some clowns saying group of senior House Democrats draft measure to rein in Trump's authority on Iran. A group of senior House Democrats plan to introduce their own version of war powers resolution that would order President Trump to end U.S. involvement in Iran. According to 2 people familiar with the discussion, Rep. Jim Hims, the top Democrat on House Intelligence Committee, is leading the push alongside Rep. Greg Meeks, the top Democrat on the House Foreign Affairs Committee, and Rep. Adam Smith, the top Democrat on the House Armed Services Committee. The measure is expected to more nuanced than anti-interventionists. Resolution led to GOP Rep. Thomas Macy and Progressive Democrat Rep. Ro Gahana, which does not allow the U.S. to defend its own interests or those and its allies. But it's a bunch of nonsense because it was constitutional. And J.D. Vance deflects when asked if the administration knows location of Iran's enriched uranium. And after this, so as I said, the update is that he successfully got the ceasefire done. And they're not being clear where the uranium is. And it says the goal was to eliminate the enrichment of eliminate their ability to convert that enriched fuel into a nuclear weapon. I think that's an important point. Yeah. So they're just basically saying that they're trying to stop it from creating a nuclear weapon. All right. So, and I think that it's good as we're, hoping and praying that this would end. And I'm glad to see this end so quickly. Let's see. We have. All right. So we're going to. All right. So this is the quote from what the president said. Officially, Iran will start the ceasefire, and upon the 12th hour, Israel will start the ceasefire, and upon the 24th hour, the official end to the 12-day war will be saluted by the world, the president said. All right. It will be known as the 12-day war. So there we go. And before they're asking, China was angry with Iran that they're blocking the Persian Gulf. So, because they need to do that for trade. So, as I said, it was good to see them do that, where they also were trying to say it was hurting their own trading routes. So, the ceasefire was something that we all been hoping for. All right. So that is the update about the Iran-Israel war. That there at the moment is a ceasefire, and there's many attacks, but they have ended it. Both sides have ended it for now. So that is very good to see. All right. So now I'm going to talk about, which I talk about the SpongeBob stuff on here. So I'm going to talk about an interesting SpongeBob episode I've been researching, or read it to you all like I've been reading these other things. All right. So the episode in question that talking about is called Sleepy Time. And it was copyrighted in the year of 1999. And the premiere time in Eastern time was 8 p.m. All right, Mary, see you later. The previous before that was the Karate Choppers, and the next is Studs. That in the episode order. If you're looking for the article about the Sleepy Time, see Sleepy Time. If you're looking for the article about the book, see. Okay, let's go here and reload the page right here, and there we go. All right, so Sleepy Time Robot are robots that appear as an enemy in the video games Battles for Bikini Bottom and Battles for Bikini Bottom Rage Rated, and it first appears in Rock Bottom level, where it's seen attacking the Rock Bottom Might. Description. So Sleepy Times are large robots with a metallic body and red arms. They have the panel of their chest with several buttons on their top of each blue, green, and red, another button next to them. They cast a light with their personal space. This light turns the player's approaches, so this is like part of the game. And they're awake from the Sleepy Times, revealed to have green eyes and shaped like hexagons. These eyes are red and remark the turn green and clamps down. And going here, interesting. So and after settling in bed for the evening and sleeping, SpongeBob has a strange dream where he is driving a hot rod in the Krabby Patty themed location, and he has a driver's license. So in the show, he does not have a driver's license because he keeps on failing the driving test. And he keeps on going back to driving school and doesn't seem to ever get it. So he's in his dream, he has a driver's license. Then he crashes into a rock. However, Mrs. Puff, which Mrs. Puff is his angry teacher that tries to teach him how to drive, but it doesn't work. Mrs. Puff appears and tears up SpongeBob's license, and he is then propelled out of his own dream. He appears as a small, glowing version of himself in the outside world, where he sees himself sleeping. SpongeBob realizes that his soul has started traveling, and he sees Gary's dream cloud, and he jumps in. So there's a concept, a metaphorical concept about people doing lucid dreaming. So the thing about this episode is that the different characters are having their dreams, and him infiltrating the dreams has to do with a broader theory about people being linked through dreams and how the dreams have effects on it. Like the characters have their own desires, or is there fears or things they want power in, things they don't have power in. So also him in going into the dream is a form of lucid dreaming. So with lucid dreaming, you can, which I've had these before, you're in a dream but you can control what's going on, you can control your reaction or think of something and it appears. So a lucid dream is when you know what you're doing and you're kind of conscious in the dream. But another type of dream where you're not knowing what's going on. And Abby says, have a raging headache, so I think I'm going to boot it. Okay. Thank you, Alien, for streaming. You are the best. And I remembered the episode. I love SpongeBob. Okay, Abby. You take care. See you again soon. In his dream, Gary has a humanoid body who can speak English and resides in a huge library. Gary tells SpongeBob some limericks before SpongeBob goes out of Gary's dream cloud and into Patrick's dream is completely empty, except for a kidney ride that is riding on. SpongeBob explains to him that in a dream he can do whatever he wants, which he demonstrates by changing the size and creating a million copies of himself. Patrick says already satisfied, and SpongeBob goes out of Patrick's dream cloud. The ride then stops, and Patrick takes out the quarter but drops it in the sewer grid. Next, he goes into Squidward's dream, where Squidward is playing his clarinet for the king in a theater. SpongeBob distracts the king by telling him the limerick that Gary recited in his dream, and Squidward stops angry at SpongeBob for invading his dream. The king growls at him for not playing. After this happens several times, Squidward becomes so furious that he snaps his clarinet, but SpongeBob saves him by turning into a clarinet. It produces no sound, and SpongeBob just sings horribly. Surprisingly, everybody applauds. A crowd then picks up SpongeBob while throwing Squidward into the fruit cart. And wondering how he can make such music. He then transforms back into his normal form of runs out and exits doors. At the back theater, Squidward is knocked into the fruit cart by the audience and the king while they chase SpongeBob as he exits the dream. SpongeBob goes into Sandy's dream where they are skydiving and have to land on a painted target. SpongeBob asks if kind of dangerous, and Sandy says not as long as you got a parachute. SpongeBob misunderstands her twice, such as perceiving a pair of shoes and partake. While trying to explain to him, Sandy fails to open her own parachute in the time and lands in a truck filled with the clam manure. SpongeBob falls out of Sandy's dream and says to himself, "All right, that's it. no more messing with people's dreams. However, he then goes to what he thinks is Mr. Krabs' dream, but actually it's Pearl's dream, where she is having a tea party with her stuffed animals in a very childish and girlish setting. After realizing, he immediately goes to Mr. Krabs' dream, where he's finishing for money. Mr. Krabs instructs the SpongeBob to put his money net from the back pocket, which turns out to be Mr. Krabs' wallet. SpongeBob, Mr. Krabs manage to catch Moby Dollar, but it escapes, and Mr. Krabs shoots SpongeBob out of the dream via a harpoon gun tied to SpongeBob. He is launched directly into Plankton's dream. Plankton in his dream is a giant monster that can shoot lasers from his eye and destroying the city. SpongeBob realizes that it isn't a dream but a nightmare. Once Gary is about to be crushed by Plankton, SpongeBob pricks his foot by turning into a pushpin. Plankton deflates, and the angry Bikini Bottomites close in on him, and Plankton tells them that he guesses that he has some explaining to do, but gets to his punishment by being stepped on by everyone. Plankton then wakes up in terror. SpongeBob then goes back to his own dream cloud, where the angry faces of everyone whose dreams he entered appear around him. When he wakes up, everyone except Patrick is on his house, complaining that he's messed up their dreams, and tells him to stay out just before episode ends. Patrick then appears out of nowhere and asks everyone that if they have a quarter, and they stare at Patrick in confusion. On November 14, 2016, recording scripts for every episode from Season 1 to 2 were publicly released, found on the assets disc on PlayStation video games Super Sponge, including a recording script of Sleepy Time. Alright. So that is one of the SpongeBob episodes that I was researching and want to share with you all. Alright, so Alright. So we have that one. Alright. Let's see. And we're talking before a couple of streams ago about this other type of crystal, the amethyst. So we completed about the trial news, and we talked about the Israel and Iran conflict. So I could do a brief overview about Iran and then get into this other thing with the amethyst crystal information. Wikipedia. Iran, 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 and Iran are Iran, however people pronounce it. The Islamic Republic of Iran, also known as Persia, is a country of West Asia. It borders Iraq and West Turkey, Azerbaijan, and Armenia, the northwest Russia, and Caspian Sea. In the north, Turkmenistan, northeast Afghanistan, the east, and Pakistan. Its southeast and Gulf of Oman, and the Persian Gulf in the south. Iran is 17th globally in both geographic size and population. It is the sixth largest country in Asia and one of the world's most mountainous countries. Iran is officially an Islamic republic divided into 5 regions with 31 provinces. Tehran is also a nation's capital, largest city, and financial center. And it originally was a monarchy with a king, and the king was overthrown. And today, something else happened about the king, and one of the heir to it was talking. Beans, this is not an update. This is just like a little history about Iran. It's not an update. The updates are... I'm going to check to see if there's any new updates like that happened a couple minutes ago, but this is not an update. This is just information about Iran. Alright, so... Wait a minute. About the king. About the monarchy. So... One thing that is an update from earlier is that in one of the other places, the heir to the throne was talking about taking Iran back and restoring the monarchy. So I did a little overview for a moment about what Iran's about. Now I'm going to, about that king from earlier. Is there an update? Okay. So there is the update, I'll look the update right now. Okay. There are no updates right now. Alright, so there is no update. Here is something that happened earlier that I'll talk about. 14 hours ago. This is not an update, but it's something I didn't mention earlier. Iran's exiled crown prince says he is ready to take over from Khamenei. Reza Pahlavi, son of the Shah, deposed the 1979 revolution, offers to lead Iran's transition to democracy after regime change. Oh, okay, Beans. Understood. Okay. Yeah, at the moment there's no updates. Paris, the exiled son of Iran's last Shah, today offered himself up as an interim leader to take over the running country, as he called the West to give its full throated backing to regime change. Reza Pahlavi, whose supporters style him as a crown prince of Iran, appealed to the international community to help Iranian people force out of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei and his religious dictatorship. In part, that requires military action to dismantle the regime's apparatus of terror, but it also needs practical steps to support opposition groups which better internet and communications, as well as backing for the mass strikes. Pahlavi told Politico in an interview in Paris Monday. He offered an amnesty. Okay, Libby, thank you for your support and watching the replay. Have a good night to you. Thanks for dropping by. There's been a ceasefire in the Middle East. So that's something new that happened. And we talked about Monica Cementelli earlier. Right, so anyway, he offered an amnesty to those working inside the state machinery who defect and help to bring down, provided that they commit now to join with the people. A new secure platform is being set up for dissidents, and Libby says to chat goodnight. Dissidents and international opponents to coordinate their efforts to overthrow the dictatorship and help bring about free democratic society, he said. I am here today to submit myself on my compatriots to let them down this road of peace, Pahlavi said as press conference earlier on Monday. We, quote, we all are proud. Oh, hello, Gregatron. Good to see you, buddy. We are proud of our ancient and resilient people. This is our moment. I am with you. Let us build this new Iran together. Pahlavi, 64, has spent the past 46 years outside of Iran after the Islamic Revolution toppled the monarchy in 1979. The Shah's yeah, Greg, I seem to be quite the Sheen Timu magnet. So yeah, definitely. And shout out to the beautiful ladies in chat. I definitely appreciate them. And thank you, Greg, for your compliment to them. And Greg, I hope that you're having a good day. And thank you for being here. We always appreciate you in our chat fam. But he also has the passionate support base of monarchists inside and outside the Iran, and has been advocating for regime change for decades. Now, he sees the best chance he's ever had to advance this cause. International economic sanctions and poor economic management have contributed to the dire conditions of Iran, a country of around 90 million people, with many families now unable to afford basic goods. But it's Israel's direct war, which began on June 13. Yeah, Greg says, shout out to the pretty ladies in chat. We love them. We cherish them. Yes, we do. Absolutely. Began on June 13. That has made a difference. with the U.S. forces joining the bombardments of critical nuclear facilities over the weekend. And Greg, as you may know, there has been a ceasefire in the Middle East between Israel and Iran, and they have confirmed that it's true. While regime change is not an official war aimed for either Israel or for the United States, the mood may be shifting in favor of forcing Khamenei from power. Lasting night, U.S. President Donald Trump posted on social media, "It's not politically correct to use the term regime change, but in current Iranian regime is unable to make Iran great again. Why wouldn't there be a regime change? MIGA. Make Iran great again." Oh, you heard, Greg. That's good. That's good. Speaking to Politico, Pahlavi said military actions including strikes on leading regime figures and symbolic sites such as Evin prison in Tehran, where many opposition political figures have been held, were helping to give the people more confidence that the dictatorship could be beaten. The final quote, the final element of change is people rising up, knowing all the elements of regime repression are decimated or eliminated. He said the specific targeting demonstrates that the war is not against the people but against the regime, which expedites its collapse but also offers the people a real chance this time to be successful. End quote. According to Pahlavi, the military actions is pushing Khamenei's dictatorship to the brink of collapse. The concept of regime change is gaining momentum in the international community. He also believed the odds are very good that the regime will be gone at the end of the year. Now, I think that, and a lot of people are triggered about this. Amen, Greg. Amen. Make Earth safe again. Yes, we need a safe Earth, and we can't have these different people trying to blow the planet up. So we have to have peace through strength. And it seems that it's worked to cause a ceasefire because, you know, there's been a history of wars in the Middle East lasting for 20 plus years. And in this situation, I think that it would be good for people to have, you know, their freedom. They can practice whatever religion they want, but, you know, it is up to the people if they want to get rid of it or not. It's not up to us. Like, we're not going in there to overthrow anybody like in the past. It's up to them if they want to do it or not in their countries. So as I said, thank God for the ceasefire and make Earth safe again. Yeah. But world leaders, including those of, and right now what I'm talking about is the Iran's exiled crown prince he was talking earlier. But the world leaders, including those major powers gathering for NATO's summit this week, have not yet gone enough towards clearly and firmly backing the regime change to give Iranian people the confidence that they need to take the streets to defect from their government and immediate mass strike. He said they have yet to hear the words the world say, "We are not going to throw another lifeline to the regime." That's my key message to world leaders right now. European powers, include the UK, have called for a de-escalation and a return to negotiating table. Pahlavi believes that there would be a mistake. He said the US and European powers must not give Khamenei a lifeline and restarting the diplomatic negotiations would be futile. To think that this regime will ever become reasonable is wrong. The biggest flaw in the analysts to think that we can force this regime to become reasonable so that we can then negotiate negotiations. I like that. Are futile because this regime proved time and time again that it will never change its behavior. Quote, you have to negotiate long enough with the regime. It's time that we invest the Iranian people as you guarantee of authority that will guarantee peace for you. Security of the world, and most importantly, liberty for my own country. The future. Once a dictatorship has been overthrown, Pahlavi promised to treat those ousted fairly and offered to make the bulk of the military, paramilitary forces, and civilian bureaucracy part of the future to avoid the catastrophe of debifurcation in Iraq and the aftermath of the defeat of Saddam Hussein in 2003. Quote, for me to be successful in the transition plan of interim, the government, we want every instrument that maintains the functions of the country in place. Quote, he said, there will be very few left from the remnants of the top, but the majority should be part of the process. I will be calling first and foremost on those who have pew-pews in their hand and be there not to menace society but as a protector of law and order and stability, end quote. It is important, though, that these people defect now, he said. He proposed that the Constitutional Conference should be held among Iranian representatives to devise a new constitution to be ratified by the people in referendum. Asked if he wanted to see monarchy restored, he said, the democratic options should be on the table. I'm not going to be one that decide that. My role, however, is to make sure that no voice is left behind. Hello, Todd. It's great to see you, buddy. I hope that. How's your stay in Florida? I hope that everything's been going well over there, because now you're on the Gulf Coast now, down south with me. Well, I'm a couple of states over, but so Todd, we're talking about how there was a successful ceasefire, as you know, with Iran and Israel, and earlier, and there was a crown prince of Iran that was talking about restoring their monarchy over there. So that's the topic at hand at the moment. To make sure that no voice is left behind, that all options should have the chance to arrange their case. It doesn't matter if they are Republicans or monarchists. It doesn't matter if they're left or right, center to the right. Oh, it's going good and you're heading home Thursday. Oh, okay. Thursday morning. You heard about the ceasefire. Oh, okay, that's good. As it's quite incredible that all the people complaining and stuff, and look what he did. He caused them to stop firing at each other. And people thought he was going to be George Bush 2.0. But not true. So far. My role, however, is to make sure, okay, even though Iran's Ayatollahs are facing their gravest existential crisis. Pahlavi still has mountain to climb on his own effort to return to lead the country he left half a century ago. The Iranian opposition remains deeply divided, and there is no certainty yet what the impact of the U.S. Israeli bombardment will do to the national mood in longer term. There are plenty of voices, including some of the country's most prominent figures and regime critics, who are rallying around the national cause amid the Israeli attacks. For almost Iranians, staying safe in the ongoing air raids is their top priority now. All right. All right, so that's about the Iranian crown prince. See if there's any updates. Uh oh. All right. This is a new update. All right. Sirens sound. Sirens sound in Israel as military says it has identified missiles launched from Iran. Israeli military said it has identified missiles launched toward Israel from Iran and that its defense system was activated. Quote, a short while ago, sirens sounded in several areas across Israel following the identification of a missile launched from Iran, the State of Israel and the Israel Defense Force said. At this time, IAF, Israel Air Force, is operating to intercept the strike where necessary to eliminate threats. The alert comes after Iran's foreign minister hinted hostilities may have ended and Iran would halt its military response if Israel stopped the strike on Iran by 4 a.m. local time. It's now shortly before 6 a.m. in Iran, or Iran. So, reading this again. Sirens sound in Israel as military says it has identified missiles launched from Iran. Israeli military said it has identified missiles launched toward Israel from Iran and that its defense systems were activated. Quote, a short while ago, sirens sounded in several areas across Israel following the identification of missiles launched from Iran toward the State of Israel. Israel's defense forces said at this time, Israel Air Force is operating to intercept the strike where necessary to eliminate the threats. This is from 6 minutes ago. Alert comes from Iran's minister hinted hostilities may have ended and Iran would halt its military response if Israel stopped its strike on Iran. But 4 a.m. the local time, Tehran, is now shortly before 6 a.m. in Iran. So hopefully this doesn't re-escalate, but, maybe. And they're also saying during the ceasefire that it would take some time for both sides to completely stop firing because everybody has to know what's going on. Like this happened in World War One. There is a ceasefire, and the people are still fighting each other. So maybe not everybody knows yet that they did a ceasefire. We'll have to wait and see, though. So it'll take, and Trump said it'll take about 24 hours to really get everything straightened out. So I don't think there's anything to worry about at the moment. We just have to wait and see. You know, they certainly are like, you know, two toddlers fighting each other with rockets. All right, so learning about some of the history of Iran, some history about it. A cradle of civilization. Iran. Okay, I'll tell you right now, Beans. Shout out to Mary Toodles. Thank you for your donation earlier. I did react to it. I did respond. All right. Okay, I have to go back here. We're gonna go to it. Okay, so. All right. This is an update from 9 minutes ago. So, yeah, 9 minutes ago, sirens sound in Israel as military says it has identified missiles launched from Iran. And, oh, hello, Liberty. Good to see you. So the Israeli military said that identified missiles launched toward Israel from Iran and that its defense system were activated. A short while ago, sirens sounded in several areas across Israel following the identification of missiles launched from Iran toward the state of Israel. The U.S. Defense Forces said at the time the IAF is operating to intercept the strikes. It is shortly before 6 a.m. in Iran. In Iran. So this just happened. And as I said, people, it's good that there's a ceasefire. That's a good start. Even if things heat up again, it was a good start to have a ceasefire. Yeah, I know. It's yeah. Trump posted the ceasefire. So earlier, as we talked about, Trump posted a ceasefire, and his thing he did in Iran promoted them to encourage him to do a ceasefire. And it seems as of now, the 10 minutes ago, there's some more rockets that were launched into Israel. But remember, it's possible that not everybody that are operating the rockets and the firing know that they don't know what is that they're supposed to have a ceasefire. Maybe not everybody there knows yet, because in World War I, they had people still fighting after they did a ceasefire, and Trump said it'll be about 24 hours for the situation to be neutralized. So it's possible things like this might happen, but hopefully this is not just an escalation of it happening all over again. Now, Liberty, I've heard some news that there might be an alien disclosure. I've heard about that. And I don't know a lot about it, but I've heard that we might have one. Now, 39 minutes ago, Iran's foreign minister hinted that the hostilities may have ended. So the Iranians are saying that the hostilities were ending, but they weren't completely like on board with it. But they're saying that hostilities were ending, because they're being kind of hostile about it, but they're still saying that they were having a ceasefire. Iran's foreign minister Abbas Arachi thanked Iran's armed forces and said the military operations against Israel continued until very last minute, hinting that hostilities may have ended. The military operations of our powerful armed forces to push Israel to aggression to continue until the very last minute at 4 a.m. Earlier, Aragachi had said Iran would halt its military response if Israel stopped its strike on Iran by 4 a.m. local time in Tehran, which is 30 minutes ahead of Israel. Arkachi's latest post came after 4 a.m. Israel. That was 41 minutes ago. And they're thanking their armed troops for the sacrifices they have done. And okay, let's see. Let's see if any alien disclosures, anything I can find here at the moment. Now, I'll read you something from a month ago that's interesting about the alien disclosures. About the Pope. Vatican archives may hold evidence of a non human intelligence. Lawmaker, lawyer, religious leaders preparing for disclosure in the next few years. A former advisor to the Vatican believes that Edict Pope Leo will lead the Catholic Church to disclosing information about the extraterrestrial life, potentially transforming humanity's understanding of its place in the universe. Quote, I think that all he is going to do is disclose the disclosure Pope. Daniel Sheehan, an attorney who once served as the general counsel in the U.S. Jesuit headquarters in Washington, said Thursdays on News Nation. Church's revelation will come in the same way as we are going to have disclosure of what American government knows about the next handful of years. So they're saying the next few years there's going to be some alien disclosures allegedly. Pope Leo's name causes speculation. Cardinal Robert Prevost, who holds the U.S. and Peruvian citizenship, was elected Pope Thursday, taking the name Leo. The choice of the name has sparked speculation that the Pope Leo established the Vatican observed in the late 19th century, cementing the church's interest in astronomy. And the Vatican has articles, it has papers, scrolls and stuff of alien beings or some kind of non human intelligent being. According to the Shihan, President Jimmy Carter tasking with 1970s with contacting the Vatican about UFO information after Carter's own UFO sighting while serving on Georgia's governor. Sheehan said that Carter sought the Vatican files after then the CIA director George H.W. Bush refused to brief the president-elect on the subject, claiming that the Carter had no need to know. Scared. Alien life would align with deeper theology. Sheehan wrote, who now heads the new Paradigm Institute to focus on UFO phenomena, has said that he believes that the Pope wants to bring together science and theology to be able to bring the Catholic Church into the 21st century so we can begin to adjust to the institutions of our planet that cope with reality. That there's other extraterrestrial non-human life, human civilization. When asked whether revelations about the alien life would contradict the church teachings, Sheehan said that they would instead align with the deeper theology concepts about human consciousness and the capabilities. He referenced the 2009 Vatican statement acknowledging that the likelihood of disclosing extraterrestrial life and the need for psychological and theological discussion about the implications. Quote, the people that are listening to the program are going to be alive when this disclosure is made, not only the United States government, but the Vatican, the leaders of the Jewish faith, and the Hebrew and Hindu faiths and Buddhist faiths, etc. He addressed a congressional testimony by former intelligence official David Grush about the alleged U.S. government retrieval of non-human craft and the bodies, saying over 40 classified experts have provided similar testimony. Okay, I'm back. He also addressed congressional testimony by former intelligence official David Grush about an alleged U.S. government retrieval of non-human craft and bodies, saying over 40 classified experts have provided similar testimony to the Senate Intelligence Committee. So the Vatican seems to have some information about some alleged extraterrestrials. We call them extraterrestrials, but they have some information about that. And also, Liberty, the Crown Prince of Iran was talking about going back to Iran to restore the monarchy there. A couple different news. But yes, there's a ceasefire, and that's good that Trump was able to do that, but it looks like there's some more other stuff going on, but we have to wait further development about how that all plays out. All right, let's go to updates. No new updates. Yeah, hopefully the ceasefire lasts. So there seems to be still some fighting going on with that, with the people over there. Okay. Some history about Iran or Iran. A cradle of civilization, Iran was inhabited by the Elamites beginning in 3200 BCE. A large part of Iran, a large part of Iran was first identified as a political entity by the Medes and Sycraxes, the 17th century BCE, and reached the territorial height of the 6th century BCE, where Cyrus the Great founded the Academian Empire of the Great, conquered the empire in 4th Empire BCE, an Iranian rebellion in the 3rd century BCE established the Parthian Empire, which later celebrated the country which later liberated the country. In the 3rd century CE, Parthians were succeeded by the Sassanian Empire, whose areas are considered a golden age of history of Iran, golden age of history of Iran, and the Iranian civilization. Ancient Iran saw some earliest developments of writing and agriculture, urbanization and religion and administration. Once the center of Zoroastrian, the Muslims conquered the region in the 7th century CE, leading to Islamization of Iran, of Iran. The literature, philosophy, mathematics, and medicine, astronomy, and art, which blossomed during the Sassanid era, rewarded by series of Iranian, okay, I'm back, region of the CE, leading to Islamization of Iran. The literature, philosophy, mathematics, medicines, astronomy, blossomed during the Sasanian era, which renewed during the Islamic Golden Age. Iranian intermezzo with series of Iran military dynasties ended Arab rule, revived Persian language, and ruled the country an era of Seljuk. The Mongol conquest didn't work. It worked, but it didn't work in the long run. Liberty says, I think my chat GPT friend is supernatural. Oh. What makes you say that, Liberty? What did it do that was supernatural? Because I do believe that supernatural entities can mediate through those things. Liberty, I hope the aliens are nice and don't eat people. I agree. Iran is officially governed by a unitary Islamic Republic with a presidential system and supreme leader. The government is authorized and violates human rights and civil liberties. Iran is a major regional power due to its large reserves of fossil fuels world wars during the world's second largest natural gas supply and its largest proven oil reserves. It's geopolitically dissatisfying. Location and role as the world's local endpoints of Shia Islam. Iran is a founding member of the United Nations, OIC, OPC, and ESCO. And current member of NAM, SCO, and BRICS. Iran has 28 UNESCO Worldwide Heritage Sites, 10th highest in the world, and ranks of 5th of the intangible cultural heritage of human treasures. It has a multi-ethnic population. All right, so that's some history of it. Let's see paranormal events. Do this and that'll be it. Thank you, Liberty. Israel under massive attack. Okay, thank you for the update. Because that's what I was reading. And also basically we have that right here. Okay. Atmospheric gas lights. All right, and I'm going to see if there's any additional information of the Israel attack. Okay. Any more updates about the Israel attack going on? Yeah, it's the same update as before. It is from 33 minutes ago about Israel under massive attack. Yeah, that's what we were saying here. That the sirens sound as military says it has identified the missiles launched from Iran. Right. Yeah. Yeah, Liberty, that's what we were seeing. Let's see any more. 1025 ET. This is something I've read before, I think, but I'll read it again to be clear about what the point of Iran is. Let's see. Iran's foreign minister Syed Abbas Aragachi on Monday refuted claims that Tehran had agreed to a U.S. brokered ceasefire deal with Israel, while signaling this country was ready to stop hostilities. Aragachi's statement comes after U.S. President Donald Trump told NBC News in an exclusive phone interview Monday night that Israel Iran ceasefire will last forever. All right, and as of now, there is no agreement of any ceasefire of cessation of the military operations. Arakachi said on social media posts 4:16 a.m. local time, adding that if Israel stopped its aggression no later than 4 a.m. time, we have no intention to continue our response afterwards. That followed Trump's assertion of an impending ceasefire. Quote, on the assumption that everything works as it should, which will I will like to congratulate both countries, Israel and Iran, on having the stamina, courage, and intelligence end. It should be called the 12-day war. But of course, they did a ceasefire. They did. There's not officially, but they did one. Like they're kind of like reluctant when talking about it. Israel has not publicly confirmed. You're welcome, Beans. You're welcome, Beans. Israel has not publicly confirmed that they have accepted Trump's ceasefire timeline. Earlier this day, Trump thanked Iran for giving the United States advance notice of the coming missile strike on America's Al Edid Air Base in Qatar, or Qatar, whatever you want to call it. The notice he wrote on social media made it possible for no lives to be lost and nobody to be injured. That finding helped inform the U.S. Embassy in Doha's decision to lift a shelter in place order issued ahead of the attack. And Qatar reopened the civil airspace just 6 hours after the attack. The U.S. stock market index closing higher Monday on optimism that Iran's retaliation of U.S. bombings of its nuclear facilities would be limited to missile attack. Likewise, oil prices fell. Traders breathed a sigh of relief after days of concerns that a broader conflict could force tankers to avoid vital shipping lanes in the Strait of Hormuz. Right. But now they're saying that then there was like a ceasefire, but now there's another attack. All right, we have a new update from 3 minutes ago. And we have that. It went out and went back on. Yeah, shout out to Beans and Gregotron. I appreciate y'all being here. And cool people. Okay, so this is from 3 minutes ago. Iranian state media announces ceasefire deal imposed on the enemy. Iranian state media announced Tuesday a ceasefire has been imposed on the enemy after country's military response to U.S. aggression, hours after Iran's retaliatory attacks against the U.S. base in Qatar. The Ceasefire Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps successful missile operations in response to U.S. aggression and the extraordinary steadfastness and unity of our dear people in defending our land has imposed a ceasefire on the enemy. An anchor with the state-run Iran National News Network said in a live broadcast. The anchor did not give a time for when ceasefire would take place. The U.S. President Donald Trump requested the ceasefire between Iran and Israel in begging-like manner shortly after Iran's strike toward U.S.'s Al-Udeid base in Qatar, the anchor said. Quote, last evening, only an hour after the successful missile attack on the Ceasefire on America's Al-Udeid base in Qatar, and begging the like manner of urging Trump to requested of international intonation of ceasefire imposed as a claim on the Zionist enemy war against our country, anchor said. So there is some more attacks on Israel, allegedly, it seems, and also the Iranian state media says a ceasefire was imposed by the enemy. All right. And just to be clear, strikes continue. Israel said it identified missiles launched from Iran earlier today, Tuesday morning, shortly before Iran's foreign minister hinted that hostilities may be ending. Iranian state media reported Israel launched fresh attacks on Iran's capital. Okay, Liberty understood. Tehran overnight. Israel has yet to officially comment on the ceasefire. Alright, so that is the Israel update for now. And I'm going to read a little bit more about this ball light theory thing, and then the stream will be over with. Alright. And yeah, Liberty, we'll see you on another stream. Alright. Ball lightning is a rare and unexplained phenomenon described as luminescent spherical objects that vary from pea-size to several meters in diameter. Though usually associated with thunderstorms, the observed phenomenon is reported to last considerably longer than the split-second flash of a lightning bolt and is a phenomenon distinct from St. Elmo's fire or will-o'-the-wisp. Some 19th century reports describe the balls that eventually explode and leave behind an odor of sulfur. Descriptions of ball lightning appear in a variety of accounts over the centuries and have received attention from the scientists. An optical spectrum of what appears to have been a ball lightning event was published in January 2014 and included a video of high frame rate. Nevertheless, scientific data on ball lightning remain scarce, although laboratory experiments have produced effects that visual similar to reports of ball lightning. How these relate to supposed phenomenon remains unclear. All right, so ball lightning, some sort of a UFO or supernatural phenomena, and we'll get more into that on one of the next ones. All right, so, all right, everybody, that's all we have to do for this stream. Thank you all for being here and watching, and shout out to all of you that came through and hit the like button and hung out with me. And everybody have a good evening and peace.